So I'll go, but I know I'll think of you every step of the way. And will always love you. Will always love you. You, my darling, you. Bittersweet memories, that is all I'm taking with me. So goodbye, please don't cry. We both know I'm not what you need. Life treats you kind, and I hope you have all you dreamed of, and I wish you joy and happiness, but above all this, I wish you love.
Let's just address old Vandy Dandy's comment here. Vandy Dandy says, the hell did you say? Georgia Tech will be wishing they were in the Pac-12 after the ACC folds. So I would wish, in the event the ACC folds, I would wish that I'm in another folded conference. Sounds like a Vandy man already, doesn't it?
You want to tell me what this is all about?
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left, 'cause I'm
Uncle Lou in the house. That is right. If any of you woke up at like 3 in the morning last night just worried sick about FSU, they still are in the ACC. Isn't that curious? I mean, hell, no one saw that coming, did they?
I've been blasting and laughing so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone. But I ain't never crossed a man that didn't deserve it. Me be treated like a punk, you know that's unheard of. You better watch how you're talking and where you're walking, or you and your homies might be lined in chalk. I really hate the trip, but I gotta low. As they croak, I see myself in the pistol smoke. Fool, I'm the kind of G the little homies wanna be like, on my knees in the night, saying prayers in the street light. Been spending most of their lives living in the gangster's paradise. They've been spending most of their lives living in the gangster's paradise. We keep spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. We keep spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Look at the situation they got me facing. I can't live a normal life. I was raised by the state, so I gotta be down with the hood team. Too much television watching got me chasing dreams. I'm an educated fool with money on my mind. Got my 10 in my hand and a gleam in my eye. I'm a loped out gangster, set tripping banker, and my homies is down, so don't arouse my anger. Fool, death ain't nothing but a heartbeat away. I'm living life, do or die. What can I say? I'm 23 now, but will I live to see 24? The way things is going, I don't know. Tell me why are we so blind to see that the ones we hurt are you and me? We've been spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. We've been spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. We keep spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. We keep spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Power and the money, money and the power. Minute after minute, hour after hour, everybody's running, but half of them ain't looking what's going on in the kitchen. But I don't know what's cooking. They say I got to learn, but nobody's here to teach me. If they can't understand it, how can they reach me? I guess they can't, I guess they won't, I guess they front. That's why I know my life is out of luck, fool. Been spending most of their lives living in the gangster's paradise. We've been spending most of their lives living in the gangster's paradise. We keep spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. We keep spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Tell me why are we so blind to see that the ones we hurt are you and me? Tell me why are we so blind to see that the ones we hurt are you and me?
I do it every time. I mean, I'm going to forget to cut my microphone on at least once. If I didn't, it wouldn't be the Georgia Tech live show. Now, I have talked with C-Dog. I think he might come on briefly. If you're in Georgia, there's some pretty bad storms. He has lost power. So if he jumps on the StreamYard, we will definitely hear his thoughts. So let's roll up to the chat here. Mike Dudd says, I was the first to hit the like button. By the way, guys, if you hadn't hit the like button, what are you doing? It's free. It helps the show. If you like your boy Wreck there, hit the like button. We got 32 people in here, 10 likes. It's not a good ratio. BC Jackets says, what's up, guys? Yes, if you didn't know, I mean, the Pac-12 isn't officially over, I guess, but for all intents and purposes, it is. Only 4 teams left. Doesn't look good. Let's see here. CJ in here says, WTF did I just walk into? The Georgia Tech live show. Stay on your toes because you're prone to hearing something such as that. John Burns, welcome, says, when will the ACC get the get off the defensive and go on the offensive and grow the brand? That's what I've been asking. And the likes of Slim Shady Canes has said, well, how do you know they're not? I don't. I can only go off of what I can see. And from what I can see, they haven't really done anything. So I agree with you, John Burns. I mean, look, maybe the grant of rights is this rock that's going to keep the ACC together. But I actually talked with C-Dog while we're at the fan day. And you're just kind of kicking the rock down the road there. But anyways, Sunbeam Gaming says LMAO. It's all Oregon highlights. I couldn't find a Pac-12 highlight video, so I just picked Oregon since they're going to the Big 12. Vandy Dandy, I've already addressed this comment, but he says Georgia Tech will be wishing they were in the Pac-12 after the ACC folds. I'm not going to say it again. I'm not going to patronize the intelligence of the audience by responding to that ignoramus comment a second time. Uncle Lou, breaking, FSU still in the ACC. That is right, Uncle Lou. Isn't that something? But August 15th isn't here yet, is it? Got about a week left. Ben Jones, people act like these schools who are left out are going to quit playing football. Too much money involved not to fold up programs. Power 5 schools will land somewhere. That is true. I'm sure they're not just going to quit playing football, but if you're not in one of these money-making conferences, it's going to be very hard for you to compete just because you're going to be behind the 8 ball money-wise so much. DW, that $300 million is from ESPN, right? If it is, FSU might be able to renegotiate it. What? Why would they do that? So the Fox is the one who does the Big Ten, right? That's who Florida State seems to be hinting they're going, or that's what all the talk is about. So why would ESPN renegotiate a buyout to let them go to a competitor? Are we eating tart sandwiches in here again? Uncle Lou says 300 mil, 500 mil, they just make up any random amount. That's right. In fact, I'm going to pull this up. If you guys didn't know, this is actual footage of the Florida State chairman. Oh, crap.
Hey, you see my iPad token? Funny, you don't seem to have one. I thought your family was rich. Ha! You dumbasses have to play Foursquare because you don't have iPads. Oh, what should I do on my iPad next? Think I'll email some of my friends. Oh, no, wait. Maybe I'll download some more cool apps. This is so awesome.
Tom Saltzman says you don't really have an iPad.
What?
Tom Saltzman says you just glued a piece of glass to an iPad cover and you're faking it.
This is FSU.
Tom Saltzman's dad is an alcoholic who drinks and drives. Let me see your iPad, Cartman. Seriously, you guys.
Let's see that way out of the grant of rights.
He's the one who ran over Joey Potts' dog because Joey Potts doesn't know how to take care of his animals, which is why he gets beat by his mom.
Just let us see your iPad, Cartman.
No, because the battery's dead. It just ran out of power.
So plug it in.
I left my...
Yeah, that's Florida State. If you have a way out of the grant of rights, let's see it. If you've got this buyout money, let's see it. Nah, we totally have it. We totally have a way out. Okay, cool. Anyways, you can't really talk to these Florida State people. In fact, I think it would be appropriate, until we have a final answer on this, to start every show off with, I have it on my little notepad here. This was, if you watched the last live show, I read this, but I feel like we need to read it again. I posted it on Twitter. I have to preface this by, I didn't make this up. This sounds like I typed in, tell me the dumbest thing in ChatGPT, and it generated this. Not the case. I didn't make this up. This is an actual comment. If you're going to be surprised by the Robert restaurant, but if you're going to talk about something, at least tell the truth happened academic-wise. They are up there. They are up there. They do a little research. That's the problem with a lot of media people, regular flatbed your gums. I have no idea what the hell they are talking about. And no one has any idea what the hell that guy's talking about. That is an actual comment from an actual Florida State man. And the thing is, that comment might make more sense than... That might not be the dumbest comment any Florida State man has made about this. Also, another Florida State man said, "You're thinking checkers while Florida State is playing 3D chess. Watch and learn." And I had to inform him 3D chess is just regular chess. It's just regular chess, man. I think you meant 4D chess. And he won't concede that he didn't know what he was talking about. I responded with that, and he's like, "It's complicated, man. What you talking about? They're making stuff happen over there." Okay. Fox and ESPN are both owned by Disney, who's already making layoffs. Neither network are going to take a cut right now on behalf of a college football team. Yeah, I mean, North Carolina actually spoke up about this and said, hold on, I actually have an article pulled up here. This is from ESPN. Let's see if I can just record capture. Yeah. Do I still have the thing highlighted? This is what people need to see, because this is what I believe. One could argue they're just trying to create chaos, and that they thought the only way to make it work would be to break the league up, one source said. Part of the theory here is that they bang the drum real loud and eventually everyone else would panic. Now, Florida State, man, would you say that's maybe accurate? Also, I don't know who it was that was representing North Carolina was like, basically just shut your mouth, dude. Unless you got something actionable to do, to report, to tell people about, shut your flatbed gums there. How about that? Anyways, in other news, C-Dog and I did go to the first Saturday on the flats. I did get Brent Key's signature here on my mini helmet. It was a ton of fun. Seminole Seth in here, Go Knowles. Well, I don't know if you heard what I just said, but you came on last week, didn't you? Mid McDonald says, "WreckTalk, I don't think we lose UNC." I'll tell you what, though. I think it's interesting that North Carolina hasn't been brought up, because I do think North Carolina is a very desirable team to land in one of these conferences. I think Clemson, Florida State, and North Carolina all seem very SEC-esque to me and would make sense to go to the SEC, which is all I said in the first video I made about it, and people got mad at me. But I do have, where is it? Yeah, a little video here from me and C-Dog at the first Saturday on the flats. All right. And I know you guys are surprised. Did you see those ups? Did you see how high off the ground I got? Yeah, it was a ton of fun. If you can't tell from the video, and if you haven't watched Sea-Dog's video, he actually cut off a Georgia Tech sweatshirt, cut the sleeves off of it, which is actually what Brent Key wore last season. And he took one of the cut-off sleeves and had Brent Key sign it. So go check out that video. Brent Key just looks at it and is like, man, that's awesome. So also, if you're not a member of the channel, I actually there's a few members only videos, one of me doing the Icky Shuffle at the fan event, which was probably the most impressive thing anyone had ever seen there. But I also have a video where I give an in-depth breakdown of my experience with the Techway and Georgia Tech NIL as a content creator. So if you kind of want the inside scoop and my true unbridled opinion about it and kind of what has gone on behind the scenes of the channel with me in that, become a member today and check that video out. Rec, did you not just see that chat? What chat? Georgia Tech, which one? Which one are you talking about, BC? The one that says Georgia Tech should have kept Paul Johnson. Wing T is hard to prepare for, especially in 1 week. Respectfully, I don't think Georgia Tech will ever be able to recruit at a high level. But then again, you're in the ATL. I'm done. Let me get a water. Let me get a water. Let's break that apart for a second. And I love you, and there's nothing wrong with loving Paul Johnson. Paul Johnson's a Hall of Fame college quarterback or college coach. Here's the thing. If you're conceding that recruiting at Georgia Tech is really hard, what else would be an impediment to recruiting? Running the triple option. If you run the triple option, can you talk to a Jeff Sims? Can you talk to a guy like, I don't know, Graham Knowles we just signed, Aaron Philo, any of these good quarterbacks? Can you even make an offer or have a conversation with a Deshaun Watson or a Trevor Lawrence? No. So you're saying you're waving the flag like we're just never going to recruit well, and then put another brick wall impediment to recruiting up. Like, I'm sorry, I love you, buddy. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. All right? And the thing is, or Jahmyr Gibbs, because in the triple option, you don't have a featured back. So you're never going to land a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs. And I think what has happened is people look at what happened under Jeff Collins, and a lot of people that are a part of this kind of old school mentality are like, see, this modern shit, it just doesn't work. It will never work. And that's nonsense. By the way, let me bring in my boy Sea-Dog here. Oh, hold on one second. Why is my StreamYard not showing the screen capture here? I'm just going to do it this way. It's the best way I can do it. What's going on, Sea-Dog? Oh, all right. Oh, I don't have my desktop audio off. What's going on, Sea-Dog? Welcome to the Georgia Tech live show. You caught me when I'm going off on a rant here. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I've been booting up my computer, and I guess I have a hard HDD, not a SDD, and so it makes it slower to start up, and it takes like 30 minutes to start my computer up if the power goes out. So,
okay,
like, literally takes a thing 30 minutes to start up and load into this.
You need what do you call them? One of those M2 drives, man.
I need something because it is horrible. And the one I have at work, it just boots right up within seconds and it's ready to go. And everything else on this PC is like really, really good. So I want to get that fixed, whatever it is. But I'm not like a supercomputer guy. You know?
So I just went off on this rant. Let me read. Basically, this guy saying unless Georgia Tech runs a triple option, like we're never going to be able to have any semblance
not
of
that
success.
again. Come on.
WreckTalk, if Paul Johnson had Jeff Collins' 2021 roster, he would have won the ACC. Yeah, so if you just set aside recruiting and say, hey, we're not going to worry about recruiting and let someone else recruit for your first year, yeah, probably. What do you do after that?
No, he's probably right. If Paul Johnson would tear up the ACC with this roster, but the problem is the recruits we have now, the people on our roster now, don't want to play for a triple option. You think Jahmyr Gibbs would have ever come here, ever, if we were running the triple option? No.
Yeah.
No. Paul Johnson's biggest successes were with recruits he didn't recruit.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And they were and we ran it for too long. It was way past its prime. I don't think our video's on the
yeah, I'm working on it. I don't know why I don't know why it's doing this. Hold on. But go ahead.
We were never going to be able to recruit these players. Triple option in this day and age is literally for schools that can't recruit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, now he's like, well, what has it gotten you? And I was saying, like, you can't even have a conversation with a guy like Trevor Lawrence or Deshaun Watson, and they're like, well, what are you going to do? You don't have NIL money. I'm like, I get it, but I'm not saying we're going to land those guys. The point being, you can't even have a conversation about them or have an outside
What are you
chat.
talking about? What talent gap? You just got done saying, or this other guy just got done saying how good of a roster we have and how good our recruiting is now. What talent gap? There are plenty. Right now, as it stands, Georgia Tech has a top 25 class. You can be competitive. There's no talent gap with a top 25 class. Okay? There's plenty of teams that recruit outside of the top 25 that are competitive, but we're recruiting inside of it with Brent Key. And Jeff Collins was too until he started losing all those games. Well, Brent Key, you know, a lot of people pointed to Jeff Collins' failures as some kind of proof that Georgia Tech has to run the triple option. We can never be competitive without it. Jeff Collins' failures were because he didn't know what he was doing. Okay? Brent Key took over that very same roster and immediately improved everything about the team. Immediately. It was clear that Jeff Collins had no idea what he was doing. Okay? And if you still have doubts, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I guess I get it if you haven't been paying attention to Georgia Tech. I guess I would get it in that case. But, I mean, he took over Jeff Collins. If he had stayed our coach the entire year last year, probably would have maybe won one more game. And the fact that Brent Key was able to get to 5-7 with two quarterbacks being hurt is insane. And for those of you that still don't believe it, well, you'll just have to see this year. You'll just have to see this year.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I thought we were beyond this type of thing. Like, yeah. Let me look back through the chat. I haven't. I will say, though, Paul Johnson proved he could recruit decent players. What about Justin Thomas, Darren Waller, DeAndre Smelter? Yes. He did recruit decent players. But let me ask you this. All of the teams that are finishing top 10 every year, what do they have in common? Do they not also generally recruit in the top 10? So are you just going to concede, well, Tech should never be a competitive program?
I mean, Paul Johnson's recruiting and wins and everything fell off towards the end of his time here. And it's like, you can blame that on whoever you want to blame it on. I mean, he didn't have the buy-in from the administration that Brent Key has now. But
this is a Tennessee guy, it looks like to me. Okay.
But there's also another guy in here too, Mid McDonald.
Well, I
Is the
mean,
one, so. But I mean, still, the both of you. What would change your mind? I mean, if we went, we already have a top 25 recruiting class. They had top 25 classes. Jeff Collins had top 25 classes before he started performing horribly on the field. What would it take to convince you that Georgia Tech can recruit really well? I mean, I guess a 7-8 win season with talent that's not a triple option team. Because I've been hearing this from people like Georgia Tech will never be able to make a bowl or whatever without the triple option. It's just silly. It's silly.
BC Jacket started this. I just saw in the chat, he's like, did you see that? I was like, hold on, what? I literally got up and walked away. I had to go get water.
I have to go get water now, too, and a hat because my hair looks stupid. It's like in an awkward stage right now where it's like, my hairline, I didn't notice this because my hair is long, but my hairline doesn't look as good as it used to. That's concerning. I'm only 25, man.
I know.
All right, let me get some water. I'll be back.
All right. DW says we need NIL money to recruit in the top 10. We don't have that. Agree. I am a huge critic of the way NIL is being handled at Georgia Tech. But I was making a point that if you're just going to concede to the triple option and think that, but we do have good players, we're not going to be competitive with the best teams with a few good players. It's just not going to happen. If Bama were to grab Key, that would mean we are doing very good. I don't think Key's not the one I'm worried about leaving. In fact, I think Key is he might be the only guy we could hire if we were very successful consistently, and by that I mean a top 10 team that wouldn't leave. I really believe that. I can't think of another guy that would fit that bill for Georgia Tech. Mid McDonald says, RecTalk, I feel like the athletic department at Tech didn't help Johnson as much as they could have. I agree with that, by the way. 100% agree with that. The problem with Georgia Tech is that they do not have enough people who care about football there. I've heard this as well. We just don't have enough people that care about football. I think we had people that didn't understand the landscape of modern college football. I think Jay Batt is a great addition for addressing that. But here's the thing, and I'm putting words in your mouth, admittedly. But the same people that will say that are the same people that get pissed off about the Hyundai Field thing. And that's where I just throw my hands up like, I mean, what do you want? What do you want them to do? Anytime they do something actionable now, it's like, oh, man, let's stand on our traditions, baby. But we need to do something. But not that. But it can't be that. You know? God, y'all got me piping mad. Go ahead, Sea-Dog. I don't even know. God damn.
No, yeah, it's going to take stuff like that. I saw somebody on Twitter the other day. I forget who it was, but they reposted. They posted a chart of the teams of the college football programs in the most debt of all of FBS, and Cal was number one. They had like they had like a stadium renovation, much like us, that they're still paying for, and their athletic department is in shambles. And Georgia. And so Cal was in that situation, but so they were number one, but number freaking like 4 or 6 or something was Georgia Tech, and that was we are in a ton of debt, and you just have to do shit like that in today's college football with realignment, and like the dollar rules all. So you got to make some sacrifices and stuff if you want to be competitive in football. If you want to take football seriously, you have to give up some of the things that you would rather not do.
I agree. So. And that's why I love John Burns' comment. He comments this all the time. For all the people that are mad about the Hyundai Field thing, read his comment. Remember, winning ain't free. Send a check, even if it's only $100.
Right. Yep.
So, I got in a Facebook group argument. I had to leave the Facebook group because I don't generally get mad, but when I do, it's like, I don't know, 15 years of angst that comes out.
I told you you would yell. It's like yelling into abysses, arguing with those people on Facebook.
Yeah. Now, I actually agree with DW, though. It was fun to me watching the triple option, and I'm probably an outlier in that. But there was a lot of fun to be had with it. It's just
I got tired of it. It was not something I ever thought we should be doing.
No, I agree.
And I just didn't. It was not my thing. It was fun at first, but we just never should have. We never should have hired Paul Johnson. Frankly,
No.
It might piss some people off, but I mean, he was a great coach, and I respect him for what he did. But we never should have hired him.
We talked about this in line to see Brent Key, which was the longest line there, so we got to have a pretty lengthy conversation. I wonder what you guys in the chat think. We could have hired Dave Cutcliffe instead of Paul Johnson. Would y'all have rather us done that? Because I think I kind of would have.
I would have too. It is a stereotypical kind of boring old man hire that Georgia Tech would make. That would be like us hiring Willie Fritz or something, but at least it's not triple option. And Dave Cutcliffe was an actual good coach that had some really good years at Duke. If he can do it at Duke, he can do it here. Anything you can do at Duke, you can do at Georgia Tech and more.
Yeah.
Okay?
And then you definitely can have a more serious conversation with a Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields.
Yep.
Because he coached all the Mannings. He coached Eli and he coached Peyton. They're both Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Look at the recruits that are taking a look at Georgia Tech now. We would have never even heard of like this Jonte Gilbert. So we might not land him, but we're in his top 7. We wouldn't have sniffed his top 50 if we were still running the triple option. This Jonte Gilbert, he's a 5-star.
Yeah.
We're in the top 7, and guess what? When we're 5-7 right now with a first-year head coach. Brent Key comes in here and actually proves something and gets some wins on the board and shows some proof of concept. Well, I mean, we're going to start being in their top 5, their top 3. We're going to start landing those commitments. Do you mind with the music? My wife does everything possible to be as loud as she can when I start streaming.
You're being loud. You're being loud.
I'm being loud too. Well, I'm yelling at people on the internet.
You're a towel.
I'm yelling at people on the internet about football,
which is important.
So.
Yeah.
So,
and I see people posting all the stats for Paul Johnson. I'm not saying Paul Johnson is a bad coach at all. I'm not saying that. But there was all sorts of baggage as a program that comes with that. Or I shouldn't say baggage, but impediments that come along with that. What we did under Paul Johnson is the absolute ceiling we could have had under a guy like Paul Johnson. Do you want to settle for that? Do you not want even better for that? Do you not want to consistently be a New Year's Six team? If you don't, then I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, where's the lie? Where's the lie?
A consistent New Year's Six team would be sweet. Like a Penn State or something? Penn State level?
Yeah, I'm a fan, man. I love this team. And, that is what I want for Georgia Tech. I want us to be competitive like that.
Anything that makes us better at football, I'm in favor for. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Anything that makes us better at football. So, of course, that's the approach they took at Georgia, and now look at them. But
now, moving to the future, that's what's so great to me about a guy like Brent Key. The things that were great about Paul Johnson were his coaching acumen, his ability to prepare a team even if there was a large talent gap between them. And even the way he handled the media, like they'd be like, well, Paul, how do you feel about the game coming up Saturday? He'd be like, I don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. Like, he didn't blow smoke up your rear. Key has that along with, and I've been saying this for a few weeks now, Key is a fantastic recruiter. We talked about this in line. When he was at Alabama, he was one of the best recruiters in the country, and he can be that at Georgia Tech. Especially let him get some 8-win seasons under his belt, which I think he can do. I predict us to go 7-5 this year. If you haven't seen that prediction, go watch it. And then Sea-Dog's done. Tell him about the videos you did on it.
On what?
You did like teams we need to beat. Teams.
Yeah, so I did teams that we need to be ranked in order of importance this year, and I've got coming up teams I want to beat the most coming up this year, which is very exciting. It might be different for every Tech fan. Some Tech fans hate Clemson. I don't necessarily really hate them. I would love to beat them. I need to beat them like I need to breathe.
Yeah.
But so they're ranked pretty high. But, like, I might hate Miami more than the average Georgia Tech fan. So,
no, me
but
too.
I do teams that I want to beat ranked. And then, of course, I will come out with my own season prediction, too. Obviously, I'm very high on this year. And I think we're going to kick some ass and surprise a lot of people. Yeah, I'll come out with that too. I have a list of videos that I want to do before the season. I also have some ACC content I was gonna do. I did a quarterback ranking and a power ranking of the teams in the ACC, and I also wanted to do look at the over-unders, the Vegas over-unders for that too.
For each team we play?
And No, for all the ACC teams, and just say what I think is going to happen.
Speaking of that, Sea-Dog, what's the over-under on Louisville?
Louisville is 8.5. That is ridiculous. When I first heard that, dude, I was like, "What? Why is Louisville's over/under 8.5 and ours is freaking 4.5? Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that, and then maybe a couple of other videos before the season. That's kind of what I'm up to. I'm going to try to get that stuff done, and perhaps even the buzzsaw might be showing down.
Oh, man!
Perhaps we'll have to see. I've got some exciting stuff coming up. I also have a new hit single I'm working on. It's gonna tear up the chart. It's gonna top the charts. I'm thinking about, if we beat Louisville, I'm thinking about dropping it after that. I think is when I will do it, because I want to do it when the height of excitement for Georgia Tech. So if we do beat Louisville, I'll probably drop a fire new track for you all to enjoy. And then there's also the Sea-Dog Cinematic Universe.
Oh, man.
The Sea-Dog Cinematic Universe, which needs to be continued too. I
forgot. I know what you're talking about now.
For those of you that keep up with that, for those of you, which probably isn't a lot of people, to be honest, but I'll post the video, and then I'll probably post here's the content, here's the previously on the Sea-Dog Cinematic Universe. I've got that going, so
that'd be great. If y'all don't know what he's talking about, my stream actually was taken over one night. Someone knocked on my door and someone took my stream over, and it's a tangled web that's being woven right now.
It sure is. Who knows what's to come next of the story? I don't know how many people actually follow. They do good numbers. I don't know how many people actually follow the storylines, but we do work really hard on those videos. So me and all my friends, and
yes,
of course now WreckTalk has joined in on that as well. So we're going to have some exciting stuff coming up. on the Sea Dog channel.
John Burns
So,
says if you guys want easy Christmas money, bet the over on the Jackets. I actually want to address that real quick. I watched the Tech season prediction video a guy did, and in the beginning of it, he's selling, I don't know if it's his picks or someone else's picks. And I know a lot of people bet on college football, so let me just give this aside. Never, ever pay for someone's picks. The odds of you beating the VIG, and if you don't know what the VIG is, why are you betting on football anyways? Plus, what you're having to pay for his picks. It actually disgusted me. What a charlatan that guy is. Don't ever buy someone's college football picks. Because think about it. If they're telling you that they're an advantaged player, why would they sell a money-making machine to you? It's absolutely dumb. Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah. The Georgia Tech over under is ridiculous that they would put that at 4.5. That is easy money. And also, me and RecTalk actually do have bets out. I've got almost $200 out at Georgia Tech over 5.5. I bet them over 5.5 with some YouTubers on here to prove a point. I'm going to take every single one of their money. And RecTalk, too, we have the same bet.
With Slim.
With this freaking Miami guy, Slim Shady Canes. He made the dumbest bet ever, where his bet to us was that Miami would make a bowl and Georgia Tech wouldn't. And those two conditions have to be filled for him to win that bet. And every other situation we win. So if neither teams make a bowl, we win. If both teams make a bowl, we win. And obviously, in the best scenario, Georgia Tech makes a bowl and Miami doesn't. We would win.
Ooh, they have a tough schedule. Can we look at their schedule for 1 second to see how dumb this bet is?
I would love to.
Where is it? Over here, yeah. I just had it. Okay, there it is. All right, so they open up with the superior Miami team, Miami of Ohio. Obviously an easy win.
If I could pick one game to choose the outcome of this season, obviously the Georgia Tech game would be it would be my number one. But I would be very tempted to choose Miami to lose this game because of how funny it would be. I would call them Miami of Florida for the rest of time.
That would be great.
At home. How funny would that be?
Oh, are they competing for slots? Tech plays at 7:30 Friday.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
Wow, they're playing at the same time as us?
Yeah, 30 minutes earlier, yeah.
Can you imagine how funny it's going to be when Georgia Tech puts the hurt on Louisville that night and Miami of Ohio comes down and beats Miami of Florida in their home stadium in one night?
People might think that's outside the realm of possibility. Didn't they get absolutely throttled by Middle Tennessee State?
By Middle Tennessee State. Oh, my God. What I wouldn't give for Miami to lose this game. It would be so funny.
Yeah.
It would be so funny.
All right. So
I don't care if they won out. I don't care if they win 11-1. As long as they lose that game, that would be amazing. It
would be. So just looking at this briefly, they might have the hardest schedule in the ACC. They've got Texas A&M. That actually Slim thinks they'll lose that game. Bethune Cookman, it sounds like a team Georgia plays, but they probably win that game. Temple, I don't know much about Temple, but they should win it.
Temple's in shambles from Jeff Collins.
And I talked about this in my prediction video. They do get a bye week before us, but they've got North Carolina on the road after. And I think,
why do they have a bye week in freaking week after week 4?
Because it's Miami.
That's a weird spot for a bye week.
Yeah, I think they could overlook Tech here into North Carolina. Obviously no one but us is going to think this is a win for the Jackets or competitive. Let's just say they win that game. But look at this murderer's row they go through at the end of the year. at North Carolina. Then they come back and play Clemson. There's 2 losses. They should beat Virginia. They could easily lose to NC State and Florida State. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
They're going to get destroyed by Florida State again.
They could go 2-4 in that 6-game stretch.
They're gonna, they could.
Then they've got Louisville, who everyone thinks is God's gift all of a sudden. But let's see.
I don't know what to make of that game.
I'm just thinking of easy wins. 1, 2. Well, I can't even. You know that they went to 4 overtimes with Virginia last year. Do you know
Yeah,
that?
I remember. And Virginia is one of the most horrible teams in the whole world last year too.
You know how many
We lost to them, so.
You know how many total yards of offense were in that game with 4 overtimes?
I remember it being like ridiculous.
600.
Yeah. And weren't there like no touchdowns scored, and like there was like very few touchdowns scored, or there like was none
It was
in the
14-12.
Yeah, man.
4. I only see 5 games they should win. That you can say they definitely should win. Most people would say Tech.
That would be a dream come true for Sea-Dog.
The point being, it's not obvious looking at this schedule that they should make a bowl. What's the over-under on Miami?
I don't know. I think it's like 6.5.
Let's see.
I haven't looked into that. I'm gonna do my ACC over/unders video soon, because I wanted to look at the over/unders and see what I thought for the ACC teams, especially because I'm not gonna have time to do predictions for all the ACC teams this year.
Yeah.
So I do want to look at their over/unders.
They're 7.5.
Oh wow, man!
Buddy, take the under on that.
After looking at that schedule, yeah, I could definitely see the under. Yeah.
Oh man, I feel a lot. I mean, I already felt really great about that bet with Slim, but I feel way better now.
I mean, it would be funny if like we didn't make a bowl, but he still lost because they didn't either.
That's the only reason I took the bet is he parlayed it, which is.
I mean, it's such a lock that we're making a bowl anyway. Like, we don't have that tough of a schedule. Such a lock that we make a bowl, dude.
Yeah.
Such a freaking lock. I mean, take that to the bank.
Now, I do have a few things here I want to. I did a little research before the show. One, we signed Marcus Downs, who, to me, is a kid from South Carolina. So this is an AJC.
Yeah,
article.
we beat out.
Go ahead.
We beat out a couple of schools for him, didn't we? Miami and
I'll read them
Michigan
off.
State. For him.
LSU, Miami, Michigan State, Tennessee, Virginia Tech. Downs listed Tech, Georgia, Tennessee, Auburn, and North Carolina in his top 5. What was that again about Tech can't recruit? Who was saying that? So we beat out Georgia, Tennessee, Auburn, and North Carolina. He's 6'5", 285 pounds, rising senior at a Riverside High. He was invited to the Shrine Bowl of the Carolinas in December. Took his official visit in April. Let's see here. Tech now has 26 commits in the 2024 class, ranked 25th nationally. This kid is rated a 3-star 88. This is another kid. I feel like I keep saying this, but I actually believe it. I think this is another kid that's actually a low 4-star talent.
Yeah. For sure.
What else do I have here? Okay, so you want to talk about detractors. Georgia Tech ranked 74th in the CBS Sports 133 ranking.
Jeez.
What do you have to say about that, C-Dog?
It's just people that aren't paying attention. That's all it is. I mean, anybody who knows the program and knows what we've been doing, like Brent Key has been putting together, does not feel this way. Okay.
While 74th is not where the fans want to see their program, this guy thinks Tech has a chance to perform better than that this season. Most no-brainer opinion in the history of opinions. Thank you. Most preseason polls are low. Yellow Jackets heading into the season. Tech was voted to finish 12th out of 14 teams, which Key said, don't care. Don't care. That's preseason nonsense. I'm here to win football games. In fact, this is what he said. I could care less. They could care less. I could care less. That's quote. Games are played on the field, and I know it is time. It is that time of year when it is exciting to see rankings. Blah blah blah. Yeah.
I mean, and I've been saying all off season, everybody's going to be surprised except for us. Okay, and look, we've done all we can. We've come on here. And we've tried to tell them, and we've tried to explain to them precisely why Georgia Tech is going to be good this year, and they don't want to listen. Some of them have listened. Some of them won't be surprised when we turn up being good.
That's right.
But a lot of them are going to be surprised, including ESPN and anybody who bets the freaking under on us.
Hell yeah. I'm also going to show there's a thing also on Fan Nation. Georgia Tech commit Isaiah Canyon makes highlight catches Friday night. This kid's showing out. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter.
I did.
C-Dog, I'll just play it for the people. Let me full screen that and switch over here. Where is it?
Hey, real quick.
Yes, sir.
I just got a comment on my video from BC Georgia Tech Jackets. He's asking if he could do his own teams that we need to beat video.
Ooh.
Absolutely, you can do that. Absolutely.
All right.
That goes for anybody. If it's not like, I mean, I don't think that. I mean, we haven't talked about this before, but it's like you can do the same type of video as somebody else and still have your own opinions in it. It's like I don't consider stealing, and if anybody wants to do, a video like I've done or something, I've absolutely, I don't care at all. In fact, I encourage it because I want to see what other people think too, and of course, especially tech YouTubers. There's not many of us, and if I think that I mean it's hard running a Georgia Tech YouTube or college football YouTube channel, especially in the off season, and coming up with content is hard. So it's more you're more than welcome to do anything that I do, and I mean, it's more than likely that I got inspiration from somebody else too, either. So,
oh yeah, and that's the same for me too. Like no one anything's doing on YouTube is original. I mean it's all borrowed from somewhere. Yeah,
that's right.
And we definitely support you, BC Jackets. We love you. Love what you're doing. By the way, he made a countdown clock. I saw that. Let me post that again in the chat. It's a countdown clock to kickoff, as well as like basketball season. So definitely go check that out. I mean, this is a true tech kid right here.
That's right.
Making his own website and whatnot. So I posted that in the chat. Let me bring this back up. This is one of our 4-star wide receivers. Man, I thought it was longer than that.
No.
Anyways. There was one longer than that I did see, but yeah. Let me switch back.
Here, I'm gonna post his link in the chat if that's all right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
we're y'all go subscribe to BC Georgia Tech Jackets. He is a kid that is he's really young, and he does Georgia Tech content too. Obviously inspired by the works of us two right here, and we couldn't be more happy and supportive that he's doing that, and freaking love that there's people that want to make content for Georgia Tech no matter what age. And hey, he's the future of the Georgia Tech fandom.
He is.
Let's show him some love.
Yes,
And,
definitely
go
sub
subscribe
him
to
up.
him. And he knows what he's talking about too.
He does. He actually did a season prediction video. We had to go to Alabama to film a certain video, and on our way back, BC, I don't know if we had said it live, but we watched your season prediction video. And dude, how loud were we in the car or in your truck coming back? We're like, this kid's a genius, dude. Kid know what he's talking about.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that was funny. He said we were going to whoop up on the Bulldogs and everything else. So, kid knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's talking about. For sure.
Yeah.
Had us beat North Carolina, which even Tech fans, don't. A lot of Tech fans don't believe we can beat North Carolina, which I don't get. But he had us beat North Carolina, which is awesome. So many people think that we're going to lose to them. I just don't get it.
Yeah, who predicted that?
Including somebody. You care to explain yourself?
Well, it's tough doing these season prediction videos because I knew kind of about what I thought would be 6-6 or 7-5. That's what I thought, and I just really think we're going to beat Miami, and I don't think we're going to beat both.
I tend to agree about Miami. I kind of thought totally towards the beginning of the season that we would lose to them because I just figured if Miami ever just plays up to their talent level, they'll beat us every time because they're way more talented. It's just that they never freaking do that. And it's like, I don't know. It's just like, I wasn't sure. But at the same time,
I got to take a pee break. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go on my rant here. At the same time, you see Mario Cristobal from his time at Oregon. If there was ever a team, and Utah is the perfect example of this, if there was ever a team that was better coached and tougher than Oregon when Mario Cristobal was there, they'd get run off the field. Utah did it twice in 1 year with the exact same result. The score was like the exact same both times. Utah was better coached, tougher, more disciplined, and freaking come in there and handle business twice in 1 year to win the Pac-12 from Oregon. And that's what you can do to Mario Cristobal coached teams because he's the best recruiter maybe, but he's not the best coach and not he doesn't have the toughest players. It's just a question of, and obviously when you look at that compared to Georgia Tech, it's a question of, can we be tougher than them this year?
Yeah.
Enough to win and overcome that talent gap. That's the code that is really hard to crack when you're predicting that game. At the beginning of the season, I wasn't so sure, but the more it's gone on, the more I do think we can beat Miami.
Well, I actually got in an argument with Slim over this. It is a fact when Key came to Alabama, he displaced Mario Cristobal as the offensive line coach. Mario Cristobal moved to tight ends coach in 2016, and then he went to Oregon right after that season. So could it be that he knew he was on his way out and whatever? But it's a fact. Here's what I think. I think a Brent Key coach team will be tougher than a Mario Cristobal coach team. I think that's.
I do too.
Yeah.
It's just a question of this year. Is it going to be this year?
Yeah.
It depends because I would give Mario the Cristobal. My thinking was I gave him the advantage, because obviously this is his second year at Miami. of installing the offense and everything he's got to do, turning around the culture of the locker room, because he did have a lot of players there that didn't even want him. They wanted they wanted Manny Diaz. They didn't even want to play for Cristobal. That's why they sucked last year.
Yeah.
So he's turned a lot of that over. But I'm just not sure. I'm just not so sure about year 2. It might take some time because they do still have a new offensive coordinator that they're having to break into. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes for them.
Miami has a
I do
new
think
OC?
we have a real shot. Yeah, they do.
They have a new DC too then, so they're breaking in 2 new coordinators.
Yeah. So
is Tech. Or no, we're only breaking in 1.
Right.
Yeah.
They had Josh Gaddis, right? Isn't that his name? Josh Gaddis from Michigan. He used to be at Michigan, and then he left once. It was thought that Harbaugh was going to the NFL. One of the many times he's flirted with the NFL.
Yeah.
And he was mad. Gaddis was mad that he didn't get considered for the head coaching job in Harbaugh's place, so he freaking left. And they had a horrible, awful offense last year, and fired him. Yeah. And they fired him in the spring at a weird time too. They fired him really late into the offseason. So that was really weird. So yeah, Miami possibly will have some struggles this year. So the more and more I think about it, the more and more I think that we could probably get one over on them. Not to mention they have no freaking home field advantage whatsoever.
No.
So they have none. So, and as far as it being year 2, well, it's like year 2.5 for Brent Key too. So, or 1.5 or whatever. So he's not terribly far behind. There is continuity with Brent Key and what he's doing coming in. So.
Yeah, totally agree.
That's a sneak peek of my Miami game preview for my schedule prediction. That's pretty much what I'm going to say in that video, and then we'll have to see what I pick. Will I pick us to beat those freaking sons of bitches or not? I don't know. We'll have to see.
We'll definitely be looking out for that. BC Georgia Tech Jacket says, Rex Sea Dog, I'm thinking of buying a jersey from Section 103. Should I get Donate Smith or Zach Pyron?
Donate Smith.
I think he means this is part of NIL, so it's money that will be donated through NIL to one of the two.
Right. Dante Smith, or Zach Pyron. I don't know.
Yeah. I would probably say Dante.
Probably Zach Pyron because go ahead.
I would say Dante because this is from your perspective as a buyer. We don't know who our quarterback's going to be. I think it will probably end up being Pyron, but as far as the buyer, I'd probably that Dante Smith is going to be the guy.
The way I look at it is that Dante Smith has kind of yet to break out, whereas Pyron, I think, is going to get the start, and we already know he's good.
Yeah.
So I would probably pick Pyron, but that's my reasoning for it.
There you go. So you're no closer to knowing what you want to get now than before you ask. You're probably more confused. Yeah.
Well, you just got to pick whoever you think's got the better opinion there. So I'm very curious to see which one you'll wind up going with.
We're going to be watching your videos and seeing which one you
bought.
bought.
I'm going to see. I'm going to find out which YouTuber you favor more. We're going to find that out.
That's right.
He says Gibson. Matt F says Gibson. I did see something earlier I also wanted to bring up about Gibson. Somebody brought up Gibson earlier. I think it might have been Matt F too. But they were talking about him, and they were saying that he knows that he's been counting out for the quarterback battle, and he uses that as all the more motivation to get better.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting, and I think I have confidence that, I mean, I don't think it will ever get to the third string situation this year. I mean, hopefully, right?
Yes.
Maybe in a blowout, right? Like against South Carolina State or something, that Gibson could get some touches. But, you know, I'm not so sure. I don't know. I don't think Gibson would be, if he were to play for some ungodly reason, that he would be quite as horrible as last year, because I just have a lot of faith in Chris Winkie, and I feel like he, you know, after going through what he went through last year, I have a feeling that he's going to try to get all three ready to play a starting role.
That's what he said. Yeah, he's actually said that. And when you're talking about Gibson last year, then you got to ask, well, which Gibson are you talking about? Are you talking about Virginia Gibson? Are you talking about North Carolina Gibson? I mean, or Georgia Gibson. So he's already shown. The thing with the quarterback battle, though, is you have Zach Pyron and Haynes King, who are, I think, better, if not equal to him, depending on how you want to look at it, throwing the ball, but they also are infinitely more mobile than him.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's just, and Gibson is not super accurate of a passer. You know, I mean, he's an average passer at best.
Yeah.
This is from what I've seen last year. Now, he could be, he could sneak his way. He could be improving and grinding in the offseason. So that's just what I like to hear. And I feel like, I feel like he could be improved. I just have faith in Coach Winkie that he's going to develop these guys and to what we need. And, maybe it gets to a situation where I'm not sure how much Haynes King eligibility he has, but there could be some turnover that, this time next offseason.
Yeah.
And we either have Pyron or King, and, maybe he is the number two. If he could develop into a guy and bide his time, maybe he comes back and he's got something to prove. Maybe Zach Gibson could show us something. That would be cool.
I don't think he's in the running for the starting role, but that's absolutely the way you should be thinking if you're the third or second string guy.
Yeah.
This is something
because you never know what happens. You never know what
exactly.
happens.
This is what Nick Saban said. Like, if you are the second and third string guy, you should practice like you're playing, like you're the first string guy. We saw this last year.
You get to the end of the season. Yeah, and we had two freaking quarterbacks go down. We're under a third string. Had to pull the kid off the freaking scout team. We had to pull the freaking true freshman off scout team. So you just never know. You just never know, what can happen. And
right.
So I'm cheering for Zach Gibson. That dude came in and freaking tore it up against North Carolina, and if he delivers us more of that, then I'm all the more stoked for it.
He absolutely does.
North Carolina makes all our quarterbacks look good.
Yeah, North Carolina will make anyone look like they're a Heisman contender.
They made Jeff Sims look like freaking Cam Newton.
Yeah, they did. I'm rethinking picking us to lose to them, and I might have to re-record that video now.
I know, man. I mean, Virginia, for God's sake, had Zach Gibson freaking had him sacking him 100 times in that game, and in the freaking North Carolina, he's running around like, they just let him throw and freaking run all over him. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
What a sorry bunch of freaking losers. I can't believe he has lose to them. There's no earthly possible way we're losing to those sons of bitches, okay? Just letting you know.
Well, you came in a little bit later after I talked about Fan Day. Again, I gave kind of an in-depth members-only video about Family Day and my dealings with NIL and my true feelings on it. So become a member. You can see that. What were your impressions of Fan Day? And we both got to meet Brent Key, and can you tell them about what you brought to Brent Key to sign and how that went?
Hey, babe, do you have the thing I got Brent Key to sign? Is it in there? It's in my truck. I can go get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me tell you about that. So yeah, you're talking about the dealings with NIL. Yeah, a freaking disaster. Okay, a freaking disaster. Apparently, there was some secret club you could go to and meet all the starters and upperclassmen and freaking coaches that weren't Brent Key.
Yeah.
that we had no idea about. Both of us are members of the Techway NIL, and neither of us knew where it was. Now, this might also be an indictment on the school itself because they didn't. I mean, just as people, and I would consider me and RecTalk as more informed than the average fan, right?
Yeah.
But like, it takes a Patience Beach level of dedication to get into this place. Okay, we got out of there. We were like, man, I wonder, I didn't know what happened to what happened. Where were the rest of the coaches and the upperclassmen? They weren't in there. It was the freshmen out on the field with everybody. Well, turns out there was some secret room you could go and freaking see them, but we didn't know. It wasn't advertised at all, and we had no idea. So we didn't get to go see the upperclassmen and Pyron and all the stars and everything.
And the coordinators.
And the coordinators. And we get on there, well, literally every coach except for Key.
Yeah.
Because none of them were out on the field. We had to freaking we got on Twitter afterward, or X, or whatever the hell you want to call it, and freaking see Patience Beach in there with Margot Coleman and
Buster
and Buster and freaking and everybody else, and we're like, what the hell kind of place is this? We couldn't find it. So very freaking cool and funny that you leave the two Georgia Tech YouTubers in the dark, and we can't even go get pictures and autographs of our freaking quarterback. What's up with that?
So, if there were two people there that would have found a way to go to this thing, it would have been us. Yeah. And Tyler Morgan says, I don't think you had to pay to go to the other side. It was just another logo on the map. And the map, I don't have it.
We didn't get a map.
We didn't get a map.
Neither of us.
It's online, and it's super confusing.
Neither of us got a map. I saw people like walking around with one, but we never got one. What's up with that?
What's up with that, dog? Yeah.
Mike Doug says Key is fooling you guys. He makes everyone think it's a three-way QE battle. He's going to pull a fast one and start Brody Rhodes.
Oh, wow.
You know what?
What?
That sounds like something Kirby Smart would do.
No, Kirby would do worse. He's like, "What? Remember that homeless guy we passed on the way to eating this morning? Can we start him at quarterback, please?"
Which one? The freaking Athens is chock full of them.
That's true. Well, I mean, we are in Atlanta. I mean, that's.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, damn.
We're not starting any of those people at quarterback, though. Is the difference?
Let me go get my my new item. I'll be right back.
Go ahead. Yeah, Mystic, I saw you. You got to see. You took a picture of Marco Coleman and whatnot. That's awesome. I think when C-Dog comes back, he's going to show you the sleeve that Key signed and tell you what his experience with Key was. And then maybe I think it'll be good, and I'm sure both C-Dog and I will do videos on like what does this conference realignment mean for Tech, what's likely to happen if the ACC were to fold, etc. Also, if you want to support the show, there's a PayPal link for both of us and a CashApp link in the description. I would love to keep rolling, bringing you guys great content. It allows me to do stuff I wouldn't otherwise do. Also, if you send a super chat, I'll definitely read your super chat when C-Dog and I are talking. Sometimes I'm not able to see everything that comes into the chat, but if you super chat, I'll definitely be able to see it and will comment on it. Now, and I know a lot of you guys are huge Brody Rhodes fans. Me too, man. Brody Rhodes threw a nice ball there in the spring game. Mystic, was Brody in this, Bohemian Grove area that everyone was in that C-Dog and I didn't know about? Was Brody there? I would love to find out if he was, so I can apologize to Mike Doug if I had missed an opportunity to get Brody Rhodes' autograph. By the way, Tyler Morgan, he said, I don't think you had to be way of Techway NIL. That's curious to me. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of being a member. I mean, let me look at Like you get, it says exclusive athlete interviews and content, exclusive access to exclusive support events, access to student athlete meet and greet sessions, exclusive Techway apparel. I'll be honest, I haven't seen any of that. Lee Taylor says, never thought I would see a Georgia Tech football channel. It gives me hope that a ping pong channel starts soon. Well, Lee Taylor, I imagine your brain is like a ping pong rattling in that head of yours. So hopefully you do find a ping pong channel. I have a feeling Lee Taylor is someone else, though. We'll see. We'll see. Man, Sea-Dog having trouble finding this thing. Let me scroll back up in the chat, see if I missed anything here. GT Steve Cook says it would be ideal for Tech if Miami beats Texas A&M and is undefeated into our week. The following week they play UNC. Yes, that was actually exactly what I said in my season prediction video. I would love for them to be undefeated going into the Tech game and overlook us for North Carolina. That would be great. Does Blaylock have 2 seasons left? CJ's talking about Dominic Blaylock, a transfer from UGA, talented wide receiver. I think he does have 2 years of eligibility left. I could be wrong. He's getting his graduate degree at Tech right now. He actually graduated from UGA, which is something their quarterbacks can't seem to do, even though they've been there for 7 years. So, yeah, I do think he has 2 years of eligibility left. Scrolling up here. B-Bean says, where's Sea-Dog's Georgia Tech win total video? Rec did his. It will be coming out soon. William Smith in here. You're dipping Kodiak like a real man, Calvin Johnson style. It's not Kodiak, man. It's Grizzly. Kodiak is pretty cheap, actually.
Hey.
There he is.
So, I have signed by Brent Key.
We'll see you, BC.
A cutoff hoodie sleeve. A cutoff hoodie sleeve. A cutoff hoodie sleeve.
Signed by the man. And what else did he write on there other than his signature?
I will get to that in a minute, actually.
Okay.
I want to do something. I also got this cool poster, which you got one too, right?
I did.
So I was thinking that maybe I should hang this up, and would it be cool if I marked our? I think you said you did this before, right?
Yeah.
Mark the wins and losses.
Yeah, it's over here with Justin Thomas. You can't see it, but yeah.
I should do that. I'll do green for wins and red for losses. Not that I'll even need a red marker.
Yeah. What's she saying?
I just said that to my wife, and then I was like, "Ooh, that's funny. I'm gonna say that on stream too." And she was making fun of me. She's like, "Oh, you just have to have everybody hear you make a joke."
That's right.
It's true.
That's right.
It was a good one. It's true. I'm gonna put it here.
Looks good.
And just for every win, all these teams whom we're gonna kick their ass.
That's right.
So, do you mind if a little bit of laziness on my part, but do you mind if I talk about something I kind of have been thinking lately?
Go ahead. I'm gonna mute.
And then clip it for a video.
Go ahead.
I
I'll
just
mute.
had this idea as I was walking to my truck to get this. Peanut Gallery, would you mind turning off the music? You're gonna get us demonetized. At least cut it down. Thanks. All right. So, no, you can unmute. Yeah, if you have anything you want to say too, I'm not trying to take over anything. So, at the freaking game, first Saturday on the flats this weekend, I got this cutoff hoodie sleeve signed by Coach Brent Key, and of course, there it is in all its beauty. And you want to know what he freaking wrote on there? He put to hell with Georgia on that thing. Hell yeah.
That's right.
Did he put it
baby.
on yours too?
I can't tell because he didn't write super legibly, and yeah, but I think he did. I think that's what that is
Yeah.
under there.
And then some people in the Discord were showing off what they got signed too, and they were saying he put to hell with Georgia on everything, and that they were like, man, he hates Georgia. And I was thinking today, and I was like, I'm wondering, like, from everything I've seen from Brent Key, like, he has taken the Georgia rivalry like super seriously.
Yeah.
Like, everything he said, from his introductory press conference to what he says in interviews and like at ACC media days, and then now to even this putting to hell with Georgia on everything. He's been through the school, he's played for the school, and he just gets it. Like, he gets how much that game means to the fans. And didn't he say in one of his interviews too, he was like, there's no bigger Georgia Tech fan than me. Didn't he say that?
It might have been in his introductory press conference.
He said that, he was like, I'm a fan of this school and team, and I'm just getting to coach them. And I think that was, that really spoke to us. And he's walked the halls, and he is, played for the team, and he just gets it, and he gets how much the game means to us. And in his introductory press conference also, he was saying there is a team in this state that we are going to work 365 days to beat, and we're going to work every day to beat that. And I was thinking, and then at ACC media days, he said this too, right? Because they were asking him, they were like, oh, you hung with Georgia like really well. He's like, okay, but we lost. We lost. They were like, yeah, but you hung in there so well, but we lost. But we lost. He kept saying that, which is annoying when you're freaking, the freaking hard ass old guy keeps saying that to you, and you're like, okay, yeah, I know, but listen to me. but everything that he said has really just stuck out to me. That like he's like, I remember reading also another article where he was like talking about the rivalry and how important it was. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Have you seen that recently, the article?
I think so. Yeah. My whole impression of it is like, hey, we're not going to play them close. We're going to win the football game. Like,
yeah, and he was saying like, Georgia Tech hasn't been doing their part to make the rivalry competitive.
See if I can find it.
Yeah, and so between that and then working 365 days to to beat them, I just and then even to the proof on the field of what he was playing. Of how close he played them last year. I mean, he had that team as good as you could have a team ready to play Georgia, which is the 15-0 national championship, as much as I freaking hate to say it.
Yeah.
Okay. As good as you could have a 5-7, a 5-6 freaking team with 2 hurt quarterbacks and an interim coach, as good as that team could be prepared to face them, they were. And it was awesome to see. So everything that I've seen from Brent Key, I have a lot of faith that this rivalry is going to be back soon, sooner rather than later. And I think, first of all, I don't think Georgia is as big and bad and far away from everybody else as they freaking think they are. Okay, I mean, it was clear that they were sleepwalking through the Georgia Tech game last year. They don't take us seriously. They don't see us as any kind of threat. Nobody does nationally, Nobody freaking does. And especially not Georgia. They think they're so big and bad. I don't think they're as far away as everybody thinks. And, same thing with when they went on the road to Missouri. They about lost to this freaking Missouri, and Missouri was trash last year. Okay, Missouri was absolute trash, and they about lost to them. So no, Georgia, not as freaking far away as everybody thinks. First of all, and second of all, I can't help but feel like Brent Key. He doesn't seem to me the type of coach to do this, but as much as he hates Georgia and realizes how important the rivalry is, I can't help but feel like he might save a little something for him at the end of the year. You know, perhaps scheming something up or doing some concepts, you know, that otherwise would do up until that point in the year. You know what I mean? Does that sound?
No, well, one, I found the article. Two, I think Brent Key has as much disdain for Georgia as a guy like Spurrier does. Like, there's bad intentions and bad blood as far as he's concerned between the two. Now, what he said is he was asked about the rivalry and how good Georgia is. And I'll say this. This is what's so insane to me about Georgia fans. Anytime someone plays Georgia well, it's always, well, Georgia just, we were sleepwalking through it. We weren't playing well. It's never that the other team just came out and got the better of you for however long, So that's curious to me. But Key says, is it annoying? Heck yeah. Kirby has done a great job. He has, and I told him, we've got to do something about that, which I like, because it's not like this complaint or anything. It's like, hey, it's on us to come up and play good football. And I agree with that. He says, what pisses me off is to look at lists of the 10 or 20 best rivalries in the country and not have clean old-fashioned hate on there. That's bullshit. That's what it says on here. But at the present time, well, they censored it, but at the present time, they're probably right. So we've got to do something about it. It really gets on my nerves. This is someone else. Anyways, I do think Key might save something for him. And if, we should have been ahead at half last year, and people are like, Georgia fans will say, oh, well, we pulled away and stomped, whatever. It should have never been close. How do you let Zach Gibson and Pumachan get run right down the field on you? And for the defensive genius that Kirby Smart is supposed to be, how does your defense with Pumachan at quarterback running a play fake, you bite on it like Margot Robbie just rolled by and your jaws are on the floor on the pad? There was a 0% chance Pumachan was going to throw that football there. All right? So, yeah, I do think Key's got something for you. I think he's got something for you this November. All right? Me and C-Dog will be there, I'm sure. We'll both be at that game.
We'll be there. And, Key just doesn't seem like the type of coach to hold back in any way. And I don't know if this is like a fan concept of coaches doing this. Like, they're saving something special. They're for the rivalry games. I don't know if that's just voodoo or something that the fans conjure in their minds, but I feel like if it were to be any game, it would be the Georgia game, because he just realizes the importance of it. And I think that it's going to be sooner rather than later that game is competitive again. First of all, I don't think Georgia's all that. They're not going to freaking be on top of the college football world forever. And I think that, Georgia Tech is going to be much better in the coming years. And, something also, I'm 25 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it might have happened when I was like 1 or 2, but I don't really count that. I have never seen Georgia Tech beat Georgia at home in my entire life. Never in my entire life. I've seen us beat them 3 times, and all were in Athens in 2008 and then 14 and 16. So, I think that, Key looks at that and understands that that's not okay. And we were going through watching the Tennessee-Alabama game from this past year. We were watching that earlier today in the living room, and we were just watching the fans flood the field and tear down the goalposts in the sea of orange after finally getting that monkey off their back. that would be a scene that I would hope to see here in the next few years.
Well, we have a
possible.
plan for it. We've already talked about. Thomas Lawson says, "Is UGA all y'all can talk about though? I mean, come on, guys, haha." And I get like you're being kind of lighthearted. Here's the thing: rewatch the stream and do a ratio. Now I know you're a UGA fan, so ratio is probably a tough concept of how much time I actually talked about UGA versus other things. And I'll even take one out of Nick Saban's playbook. So for comments like that, I ain't got nothing for you. Talk to the Diet Coke can. All right, I don't have a response.
You know, this might be funny for me to say or something. I don't really care. I would actually consider myself a Georgia content creator.
Oh yeah, that's probably not true for your videos.
In a way, no. I talk about them a lot because I hate them so much. So I'm a Georgia video maker. It is what it is. So but he's right. We haven't been talking about that this entire stream, but I did just want to bring it up because Brent Key put that there on the hoodie sleeve that he signed for me, and I was just thinking earlier, watching Tennessee finally get the Alabama monkey off their back, and how amazing that scene was of them just flooding the field and taking down the goalposts. And, I was thinking, first of all, how amazing it would be if we beat them at home finally for the first time in my life, basically, since I was a 1 or 2. But also, in order to have that happen, we got to get fans back in the stands too.
Yes.
Especially against the Georgia game, which has been pretty lopsided as of late. It makes me sick and everything. But it is what it is. We got to get more white and gold in the stands.
Yeah.
Unless ugly ass freaking red.
And I think the good news is like that's not insurmountable. Like I said it in the prediction video, like in the past, there was like usually 4 games on the schedule. I was like, I don't even think there's a chance we can win. I don't feel like that anymore. There's not a game on this schedule I don't think we can be competitive in.
Nope.
People are going to say I'm delusional, and that's fine. But we're going to find out this season, right?
Yep, I completely agree. Key, from the moment he took over, we had a chance in every game, okay? And, we did get blown out a couple of times due to circumstances like the quarterback getting hurt. But, with a full off season and everything, I don't expect us to get blown out at all this year. Not in the Clemson game, not in the Georgia game, not in the Ole Miss game, especially not in the Ole Miss game. I don't think we're going to get blown out. And to kind of cap this off, because I am going to clip this for a use of a video because I just had this idea. I'm going to make a bold prediction. I anticipate that Georgia Tech will beat Georgia in the next 3 years.
Let's go. I don't think I agree.
Entirely doable, and I think it will happen. Just from everything I've seen from Brent Key and how seriously he's taken this rivalry, I don't think that he's going to be a coach that just accepts an automatic loss to Georgia every year. I don't care how good they are. I think that he's going to make it happen sooner rather than later. So that's my crazy prediction. You can clip it. I'm going to clip it, post it on my channel for all to see. And you can laugh at me. You can freaking say, ha, ha, ha. Well, it's happening. And I'll see you in 3 years. If not, you can laugh at me. But it's happening. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, I actually agree with that. In the next 3 years, we'll probably get one over on Georgia. Like you, I'm not, sold on we just can't be competitive with teams. So, yeah. But also, I want to address Slim's comment because it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Not all these two potato heads talk about is Miami. Or all we do is talk about Miami. So anytime we talk about your team, Florida State, Miami, Georgia, for any length of time, that's all we talk about. And it doesn't surprise me that people think this because they're idiots. I'm clearly superior in every way, and not just academically, mentally, whatever. physically, I'm superior to all of you as well. So I think I
Georgia
demonstrated.
Tech men we're just built different. It is what it is. I mean, we're second and third in the Slav Olympics. I mean, that's his first showing, and it's like we just dominate. Okay, we just dominate, and the floodgates are going to open soon. We're on the precipice of some insane things. Not only is Georgia Tech on the precipice, but so are the Georgia Tech fans in relation to slob events.
That's right. I mean, did you see how high I jumped into the end zone at the fan day? When I got up, y'all probably can't see it, but that cheerleader was like, that is the most impressive thing I've seen a male do in my entire life.
Of course, that is until C-Dog comes directly after and does an insane gravity-defying, death-defying flip.
You did.
Into the gymnastics mat.
That's right. And actually, when I got Key's signature, he leaned forward, like toward me, and he was like, "Hey, I know who you are, and I want to be friends." And I was like, "Hell yeah, we can be friends." But I honestly, and I don't want to, speak ill of Key. I was like, "What took you so long to say that, though?" So, more to be revealed on the Key Wreck friendship.
Well, that's cool. I can't even get a freaking Salisbury steak recipe from him.
You didn't ask him about that?
No, I didn't ask him about it. I was going to keep that one in the Twitter DMs.
Yeah, that's a literal beef to remain in the Twitter space.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. But while you're away, I kind of prepped this and I'm sure we'll both do videos about it. I'm planning to somewhat soon. Conference realignment, like all sorts of crazy stuff's going on. It looks like the Pac-12 is done. You probably didn't see it. I showed some like Oregon highlights while playing Whitney Houston. I'll always love you. But what does this mean for Georgia Tech in your mind? Like, where are they jockeyed for? What would happen if the ACC folded?
Man, that is something that has been weighing on my mind heavily from the moment Texas and Oklahoma announced their move to the SEC. That is something that I've known is that we are going to have to fight for survival. And to be honest, to be frank, I don't feel like the future is not good, but I just don't. I just think it's very unclear. Yeah. I'm very nervous about where Georgia Tech is going to land. Surely, Georgia Tech will land in a Power 5 conference or Power Conference, right? Mm-hmm. Surely one of the three, Big 12, SEC, or Big 10, will take us, right? Is there a limit? Is there a limit to the amount of teams that the Big 12 will take?
You would think so. I mean, this is another question, too, is like, what does it mean to be a conference in the future as far as scheduling is concerned? Yeah. Because you can't do divisions anymore. I mean, the Big 12 is going to have like 17, 18 teams probably by the time they're done expanding.
What happens when you have a ton of teams in the Big 12? What if do you have to have like a conference tournament to decide a champion? Do you have one at all? I feel like you would need one for playoff purposes, right?
Like a 4-team conference playoff and then a 12-team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This probably is a video I'll do myself. I've been slacking on the realignment content because I have stuff to say about it. But, the college football playoff was officials or whatever were saying that they're going to need to take a look at the current structure of it. Not the current structure, but what they're going to move to with the 16-team playoff or 12, whatever it was.
12, yeah.
12.
It's only a 2-year deal, I think, right? Something like that.
Yeah, they're going to need. They said due to the recent situation with the realignment, they're going to need to look at how it's structured because obviously they have auto bids for Pac-12 champion. Well,
Yep.
that's going to be either Cal, Southern freaking Cal, or Stanford, or Oregon State, or Washington State.
Yeah.
There's only 4 freaking teams in that conference come the time that we're going to have the 12-team playoff. So what is that? What does the new look like? Does the Big 12 get an auto bid, or is it going to be, is it going to be a free-for-all? In which case, I think the Big 12 wouldn't be looked at as favorable. I'm sure that at least one team from the Big 12 would get in there, the conference champion or something. But what does that look like for for the rest of the conference? I don't know. It's a lot of things to think about, a lot of moving parts to think about.
Yeah.
I'm rambling on about the playoffs, but it just brings into question everything we know about what we consider a power conference. I think the sheer number of Big 12 teams would consider them a power conference, and how many they do have some really good teams in there now, like Utah, Kansas State is really good. Maybe none of them are playoff level teams, but they should be considered a power conference. But I'm just curious about that. Obviously, if I could choose, I'd have the Georgia Tech go back to the SEC. This is all considering that the ACC falls apart. I'm sorry.
No,
you
you're
asked
good.
me that. I'm like going crazy, but my mind just takes off in a million different things because there's just so much we don't know.
Absolutely.
So I'm of the opinion that the ACC is going to fall apart. In that scenario, I would hope we could get in the SEC. However, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think we can get in the SEC. The SEC don't want us. They have no reason to add us. We left and then tried to go back before, and they didn't want us. There's no reason for them to add us now. My next choice would be the Big Ten, obviously, because they get a lot of money.
The most.
And we would be a better fit there academically. And I'm assuming that if we went, then several other ACC teams would go as well, and we could play them. And I think that would be great. And obviously, we have a chance to play on the biggest stage in college football. That's what's most important to me. Is Georgia Tech going to be able to play on the biggest stage, considering that we get good enough to be there?
Yeah, just to interject real quick, we do have a super chat from 9 Mil Norm who says, does the ACC try to expand like the Big 12 did? Add some group of 5 teams like Tulane, UConn, Temple, and Navy.
Good God.
Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for supporting the show. Yeah, this is like, I understand like what you're saying, Cedar. This is so complicated because originally when the Big 12 did this, it seemed like, well, at least they're doing something, but they're adding, these lower tier teams. They're a clearly worse conference. But now we've seen that position them to get a team like Utah and you said Kansas State. Utah is not just a good team. They're a well above average team. That is an excellent get from the Big 12. Now, to answer your question, 9 Mil, I don't think so. The ACC hasn't done anything as of yet or said anything that makes me think they're really interested in doing that. I think they might have mentioned once, like, they might be interested in adding more teams. I think the ACC right now really thinks grant of rights lets them do nothing, and I think that's probably what they'll do. The only thing they might really try and do is add Notre Dame. If you don't know, this has been talked about on several streams, several shows. Notre Dame basically has a non-compete exclusive deal with the ACC. They play basically a faux ACC schedule. They play 5 ACC teams a year, and as a part of that, they cannot join another conference. From everything I understand, and again, this is very complicated, until the grant of rights ends. So that might be what they try and do if they add a team.
So this is another thing I saw today. There's just a lot to talk about lately.
I know.
There's so much.
Everybody else on there 'cause you're just talking away.
It's me and ReckTalk. It's me. Yes, I'm letting him talk.
There's like
Will you
40
get-
people
can
in
you-
here. What are you
Can
talking
you hand me a
about?
water? Yeah, there's a lot of people that line up to see Dog talk. Thank you very much. I know you don't think that I have much more to say, but for some reason, a bunch of people like to hear what I got to say. So
That's right.
thank you very much. My wife doesn't realize that she's married to the Dog.
Greatness.
She doesn't realize it.
Can you put me on with her real quick? I need to. No, I'm just kidding.
ReckTalk needs to speak with you. ReckTalk needs to speak with you. He needs to speak with you. No, come here.
Give her that.
You've interjected. No,
Give her the
put
headphones.
on and you can talk to him. You don't have to get on camera. Go ahead and speak clearly into the mic. Go ahead.
Hello?
Mrs. Sea Dog, I don't, and I'm not trying to be brusque or rash, but do you realize who you're married to? This is the Sea Dog, the premier content creator, and there are approximately 500 people listening to him right now as we speak. And
500?
yes,
That's not true.
I can't. Are you calling me a liar now?
Well, I don't know. I don't think you're a liar, but is it really 500?
No, I
You say
did.
I ain't calling you a truther.
I did lie about that, so I kind of
You-
hate that you called me out and I was wrong. But the point being, when we were at Fan Day, people came up to Sea Dog and they were like, "Oh my God, like, can I have like a lock of your hair?" Like these kind of things.
I know he's great. That's why I married him.
Okay,
So
fair enough.
it's that I hear it double the amount that y'all hear it, and I just hear him over here. It sounds like he's talking to himself because he's just going a million miles an hour. And I honestly just want to make sure that there's somebody else there, that he's not just talking to himself.
I'm not yelling into the
And
abyss.
that he also gives
We're actually not
ReckTalk
live
a
right
chance
now.
to talk. Oh.
No, we are. You just make it sound like we're literally talking to one another and no one else. No,
Yeah, I guess it's not like that because there's people in the chat. But I want to make sure that he gives you a chance to talk too, because he sometimes just gets so excited about Georgia Tech, he just takes over.
No, he's never. I don't think there's a bond friend like even like triply covalent bonds in chemistry aren't as strong as the bond between Sea Dog and I, and there's nothing that could break that.
Well, I'm happy he found you and the Georgia Tech community, and I just want to make sure you're playing nice and you're taking turns.
I'm behaving.
Okay?
I'm behaving.
All right.
Hand me back the
I'm going to bed.
headphones.
I'll
All right.
talk to you later. Bye, ReckTalk.
I know.
Bye, Mrs. Sea Dog. Now we do have a super chat from the guy we have a bet from. Thank you for your support. Slim Shady Canes with super chat says, all trolling aside. Now, also, if you haven't seen a comment from Slim Shady Canes, his caps lock key is broken and is affixed to being on. He says, all trolling aside, with all this realignment going on, do y'all see it getting to a point the Vandy's and Georgia Techs of the world get kicked to the curb? First, we got to define what you mean by kick to the curb. I assume that means not in what's considered a Power 5 conference, which is not the Big 12, Big 10, or SEC, right? Yes. I mean, I hate to admit that, yes, I could see a scenario where that happens because there's only so many teams that those conferences can take and or are interested in. And this goes to, I forget who said it, I think Chan. That kind of gives this, like, I'm not worried, like, the Big Ten wants the Atlanta market. Yeah, the Big Ten does want, I'm sure, to expand into the South. Here's the thing with Georgia Tech. Everything I've heard from insiders, people that would know, there's several things the Big Ten is looking at. Academics, obviously, Georgia Tech checks that box. Don't really check anything else for the Big Ten, though. Not a ton of people are watching us on TV. We're horribly in debt. We've got to iron those things out probably before we make a move to a conference like the Big Ten. Go ahead, Sea Dog. I just bought a 35 pack of these and I had to buy another one. I got to pee again.
Okay. So I don't actually know what was said because they had my dang headphones, so I couldn't even hear what.
You didn't hear Slim's super chat?
I heard some super chat. I didn't hear what you were saying to my wife.
Oh, just that we're awesome.
Oh, it's true. Well, then you were spinning facts. Well, hopefully, whatever you said to her leads to less heckling in the future, because that's all I get is heckling and noise making. But
is it weird that I'm talking to you on the toilet?
No, man, I'm just actually stoked that you're close enough to where we can interact still. Because, okay, not to spoil like all my content or anything, but I actually saw something today that made me so mad, I'm compelled to make a video about it. So I saw something, speaking of all this realignment and stuff, and do you see the ACC adding more teams to that super chat earlier? I saw something today saying that it was Ross Dellinger, who writes for Yahoo. Do you know him?
No, go ahead.
So he writes for Yahoo Sports, and he said that apparently the ACC executives or whatever regents were meeting to discuss actually getting 5 to 7 teams from the Pac-12. And then of course, the Big 12 took them all. Are you kidding me? They were just now meeting. They were going to meet just now today to discuss the Pac-12 taking Pac-12 teams. Are we serious right now?
Yeah.
Just now, they were going to meet about talking about taking Pac-12 teams. Why were they not on the phone with them the second that Oregon and Washington were confirmed to going to the Big Ten? Because the Big 12 was, and that's why the Big 12 is still alive and considered a power conference.
Yeah.
This is why the ACC is going to fall apart, because they are just now meeting to talk about possibly adding Pac-12 teams after they're all gone. Well, that meeting was canceled or something. Now, this is according to Ross Dellinger.
Yeah.
This is according to Ross Dellinger. Okay, so he writes for Yahoo Sports. He had a custom PFP on Twitter, or X, or whatever they call it. So this is why. This is why the ACC... Listen, not that... I said this before. Not that the ACC couldn't be on the cutting edge of things and trying to convince teams to come over, before this. But the second that Texas and Oklahoma announced their move to the ACC should have been on the phone with all these other teams to see if they would come to the ACC and see if they could get something worked out. They should have, once USC and UCLA came, they should have done that. And they should have been leveraging, they should have been talking to Oregon and Washington.
Yeah.
They've been sitting there for a year. They should have been talking to Oregon and Washington to see if they want to come to the ACC and using that as leverage to get a better paying TV deal. Or several Pac-12 teams. Or talk about some sort of merger with the Pac-12. So they could both get, the Pac-12 has been struggling to get a TV deal for a year now. And the ACC has been having trouble with grant of rights. Some sort of merger could have happened. And, all the TV rights for those conferences could have come in one big bundle. And it would have been great. Now, it's like they're waiting till after it's already over. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, you're telling me that the ACC could not have done what the Big 12 has done, or at least some of that up to this point. I mean, what teams are out there to be got other than Notre Dame that would really strengthen the conference?
Buddy earlier just left them off here. Freaking Tulane, UConn, Temple, and Navy. You got to be freaking kidding me, dude. You got to be joking me. I mean, I thought that the Big 12 adding Cincinnati, UCF, and Houston was enough. Those are the 3 best Group of 5 teams in the country. and
Yeah.
those still aren't enough to make them considered, whatever you want to say. But I mean, I'm just like, yeah, no. I mean, Temple and freaking Navy, they're not going to cut it. So
No, this is
the
actually
ACC.
good.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
This is actually
good.
something that the Mark Rogers, voice of college football, talked about. Which, by the way, if you didn't know, Sea Dog and I will be doing a post game stream after every Georgia Tech game this year, so definitely be looking out for that. But they were talking about conference realignment and how the Pac-12, their inaction and honestly snootiness, which I'm a part of as a Tech guy. I tend to be a little more snooty, and I've talked about not letting West Virginia in because they don't meet academic standards, and that's part of the problem. But they didn't want to let BYU in because there are a bunch of California schools that don't want anything to do, and this ain't a political thing, but they don't want anything to do with the Utah Mormon thing. But then they don't let like San Diego State in either, who is honestly one of the better group of 5 teams as well. And now their conference is dead because of it. Now, what's the difference? The ACC has this grant of rights thing, but don't lean on that too heavily when you can do something. I think that's the point, right?
Yeah, man. I'm just everything I've seen, the ACC is just so far behind the 8 ball. Now, if this news is true or whatever that he was saying, at least they try to do something, because from everything we've seen, the public has seen, they're just going to go with grant of rights and they're not going to even try anything. Well, at least they're trying something, but it's too late. There's no teams we can add anymore. The ACC's finished. It's finished. There's no teams we can add that are gonna sweeten our TV deal up enough to compete with the Big Ten and SEC. It's not happening. The ACC's done for. This is horrible news. The second that Oregon and Washington, we could have added them. We could have added the rest of the Pac-12 after, even after Oregon and Washington left. I mean, we could have added those Pac-12 teams. I mean, it wouldn't have been great, but it might have been enough to save the conference.
And it makes all the sense in the world.
It definitely would have been with the inclusion of Oregon and Washington. And I bet adding all those teams, you could get a better deal that pays better for the ACC.
I mean, think of this. If we could have done that, maybe we could have leveraged Notre Dame to come in it with them, with a big TV deal.
In that situation, we wouldn't even need Notre Dame. We've been begging them for years to join. They freaking won't. Okay? We wouldn't even need them in that situation. But yeah, if they join, it's all the better.
Yeah.
All the sweeter. That would be a great conference. Clemson, Florida State. If you want to freaking throw Florida State in there, they think they're some kind of like playoff contender or something. They're not. They're just good. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
For 1 year, let's calm down about Florida State. I'm not even going to mention it. I'm going to start over.
But their TV market is good, though.
Yeah. Clemson, Washington, Oregon, Notre Dame, if you have them, Utah. That's playoff contending right there. It's all out the window now. ACC freaking sat around for too long with their thumbs up their ass. You've had a year. You've had a year to try and get these Pac-12 teams over to the ACC.
Well, it's more than a year. When did Texas and Oklahoma announce they were leaving? 2021?
That was the 2021 offseason. So, I mean, but even before that, USC and UCLA hadn't announced it yet, which I don't know if they would have come. But, I mean, I doubt USC and UCLA would have come to the ACC at that time. But even after that, even if you're going to sit around and be reactionary, you've had a year of Oregon and Washington not having a place to go. Of course, they're going to the Big Ten now, but that was this week. And you've had all this time to convince them to join the conference. And then, you could have said, well, we're going to work out a better deal, a better TV deal.
Yeah.
And then Florida State and Clemson wouldn't have wanted to leave. And now it's too late. And the ACC's done. It's done.
I mean, because
it's just a matter of when.
Like teams like Cal and Stanford. Now Stanford actually is in a much better position than Cal, but you added there's really no advantage to us adding Cal now because as far as TV market and indebtedness, and I'll pull the curtain back and I'll kind of throw my own team in there with it. they're in as bad a position as we are. In fact, they're in worse position than we are financially. And that's kind of the problem with the ACC now is, honestly, teams like that are not contributing revenue-wise to the conference. So anything that made sense to do is kind of out the window. Notre Dame, I think you have said this, or maybe it was Slim, I don't remember, but Notre Dame's probably going to sit back and see where all this shakes out so they kind of know the best way to go.
Well, now Notre Dame, they don't want to, they just want to be independent as long as they can. But, I mean, it's like, I don't know.
Now, Seminole says Lou had a good point. With all the big brands in the ACC, there's no reason it shouldn't be a powerful conference as a Big Ten or SEC. That depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about like football on the field, and like that's one thing. But really, the important thing is the money that it's generating. And with grantor rights, it's all locked in, and it's verifiable that the ACC is leagues behind those two conferences as far as money paid out to those big brands, right? Clemson and Florida State. This is the problem. That's why they want to leave. I don't fault them for wanting to leave, by the way. The only thing I've faulted Florida State on is how ignorantly they've handled this with like this crying wolf thing that they have a way out when they clearly don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now they're going to get Saudi money.
Could they become the most hated team in America? Because
It'd be
they
funny,
almost are right now.
Yeah, it would be funny. I mean, they have been loud as hell lately. It's been really annoying. And it sucks because this hurts teams. I mean, we've seen this with Oregon State, Cal, Stanford, and Washington State. These teams that aren't these huge brands and valuable, they get relegated, and it destroys rivalries. The Apple Cup is no more.
Yeah.
Washington State's probably going to get sent to the ether now, and they're not going to play that game no more. So it's just.
And that's like 100+ year they've been playing that game, right?
Yeah, and the Civil War with Oregon and Oregon State, and the. I mean, it's just like.
That's the other thing where this is, and I don't know if I've seen this talked about as much. We're creating a positive feedback loop for these teams to get further and further left behind. Think of like the SEC, if there's an arms race between them and the Big Ten, and they bloat to where they have so many teams in their conference, what does that mean? Less non-con games they're probably going to play. So could Georgia drop Georgia Tech in a rivalry game or any other scenario you want to? So teams that bank on these non-conference games, like let me think of an example, like a Navy, right? No one's going to want to play Navy anymore because they've got so many conference games to play, and anyways, that's all I'm saying.
Well, look at Cal. Look at Cal. They're one of the oldest, tradition storied freaking programs in college football history, and what are they going to do? They're in debt. They're in a bad way, and all that they're going to do is get relegated. They're not going to be able to play USC and UCLA every year anymore, and they're done for. I mean, their program's done for. They're going to get sent to the Group of Five. You think they're ever going to get that debt paid off with Group of Five money or whatever?
How much money in debt are they? Did you say $400 million?
It's the most in college football of all the teams. Yeah, it's $400 million or something like that.
Let's see if I can find out.
We're either number 4 or number 6. I saw this earlier. I saw like a graph earlier, but and like one of the Tech fans, the post didn't have anything to do with Georgia Tech, but one of the Tech fans saw it and reposted it as like, they're like, dang, look at freaking Georgia Tech, how high we are on this list. So.
Yeah, and like I did a video on that, and I said it before, like, I love Georgia Tech, but as far as financial things are concerned, I think it's been pretty horribly mismanaged. There's no reason you can give me that we should be paying off debt from 1995.
Yeah,
I don't understand that at all.
I don't know. I like what
445
Jay
million.
Bat's done. I really like what Jay Bat's done. I mean, okay, so this was a point I had thought of earlier, and now they're talking about arguing about it in the comments, and it reminded me. So the way I look at it is the Big 12 got absolutely screwed by Texas and Oklahoma leaving, right? They lost their two, by far and away, their biggest brands and value that it brought to their conference. And they have patched it with a bunch of teams that aren't nearly as good or as valuable as those two brands are. But their conference is still alive, which is more than we can say for the Pac-12.
Yep.
And more than we're going to be able to say for the ACC soon. Their conference is still alive, and it's because that it happened to them first, which at the time we were like, oh, man, the Big 12's done. What are they going to do? Oh, add UCF and Cincinnati? That's not enough. Well, they've done it to themselves. I mean, they have really done a good job since then to make up everything that they could for that loss. And it might not be where it was before, but they're still alive as a conference. All their teams, none of their teams got relegated like some of the Pac-12 did, or like some of the ACC teams are. Not all the ACC teams are going to find a spot, and that's because it happened to them first, and they've done the work since then. But now, guess what? The ACC's last, and all these other conferences are slap full. So I have a feeling that the Pac-12 has 4 teams that are getting relegated. I have a feeling it'll be more than that from the ACC that get relegated, because these conferences can be picky with which ones they take because they're already so full. So they can take the best ones, and the other ones aren't going to have a home. So the ACC has just sat on its hands the longest, and it is inevitable that the freaking conference falls apart. And there's going to be a lot of teams that get relegated, and I hope Georgia Tech's not one of them. I really do.
Yeah, and look, I know it seems like grant of rights is pretty solid, but there is a short circuit to that, which is 8 teams voting to dissolve the conference. And with everything that's happening, I don't know how realistic that is to happen, but it could happen. And wouldn't it be better, instead of having your 2 biggest brands perpetually irritated with you and ready to jump ship, do something that's going to make them happier, more apt to stay? I mean, yes, 2036 is a long time into the future, but as we get closer and closer to that, their ability to leave is probably going to get easier. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that the ACC has mishandled this and could have done, something to guarantee the long-term stability of their conference far more than they have now.
And now, as a product of just doing nothing, there's no more teams for us to add. And if Clemson and Florida State leave, there's just not. There's nothing we can do except for everybody to leave. And it's sad.
Yeah, and I mean, teams that, we would be in, the running for teams that are just going to be left out. Teams like Wake, teams like Duke, Boston College, Virginia.
Duke might be okay because of basketball.
Well, Duke might be okay because of basketball. North Carolina will be okay just because they're football and basketball. Would Pitt be okay? How attractive is Pitt?
I mean, I think that the Big 12 could go after Pitt because they have West Virginia and I guess Cincinnati being there. But, I think that that the Big 12 would take Pitt. It just depends. It depends. We don't know how much the Big 12 is going to be willing to take. Are they going to be willing to take the entire conference? Are we all going to be saved? Is the Big 12 going to take Cal, Stanford, Oregon State, and Washington?
No.
No? Well, if they're not willing to take them, then they're not going to be willing to take the entire ACC too. So, is the Big 10 going to take any more? Is the SEC? If Clemson and Florida State go to the Big 10, there's going to be less room for teams like Georgia Tech.
Well, the
And-
SEC is only going to take teams for one reason: money that they bring to the conference. And all the teams we just talked about aren't going to be able to offer them that. The SEC is going to be wanting to add teams like North Carolina, FSU, Clemson, not Pitt, Wake, Virginia,
Yeah,
these
no.
teams.
The SEC candidates would probably be Clemson, Florida State, Miami, North Carolina. Is that it?
Yeah.
NC State, maybe. I mean,
I don't know
probably
how
not, though.
big their TV market is. Maybe it is. I mean, admittedly, I don't know much about that. 9 Mil says North Carolina will be in the SEC because of the market. I agree with. And he says he thinks that of Virginia too. That I definitely disagree with. How many people are watching Virginia football on
I don't know
TV
about
right
that.
now? Oh, Vince Wilkes.
I
in
would
the
love
house.
for Virginia to land in the SEC. It'd be cool,
Yeah.
but they're doo-doo. And
Yeah.
they've been doo-doo for a long time. I wonder about Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's been hibernating too. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's so many questions. There's so many avenues to explore. I want to make realignment videos. I haven't just because I get going down all these paths. I started to make the all coast conference video. Well, I was working on it for 2 nights, and then the freaking Oregon and Washington go to the Big Ten and blow up my whole all conference plan. I'm like the ACC over here waiting too long, and then the shit gets pulled out from under me.
Yeah, but in your defense, you waited like a day. The ACC waited like 365 days.
Yeah, or more than that. I mean, far be it from the ACC to make the first move. The SEC did it with Texas and Oklahoma. Far be it from the ACC to be on the cutting edge.
That's what's so tough about being a Tech fan, because we kind of get hit doubly with the lag and response, or not being in front of
because
things.
Georgia Tech mirrors the ACC in that way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Georgia Tech, from everything we've seen, Florida State's looking out for what's best for them. We've heard not a peep from Georgia Tech. It worries me.
Yeah.
I choose to have faith in Jay Batt and everything, but from what they've told me, from everything, they could be keeping it on the low, their communications with other conferences. Everything Georgia Tech's told me, Jay Batt, in his opening press conference with Brent Key and Jay Batt, is that they love the ACC. They're committed to the ACC. They're not, they don't want to leave the ACC. That's what they told us. So I haven't seen anything to the contrary. So what am I supposed to believe?
Well, in truth, I think we hired Jay Batt about 2 years too late. Or that could be the case. We really needed Jay Batt coming in and working this 2 years ago for us, as far as the financial side of things.
Yep.
Lord knows our last AD didn't do us any favors.
Yeah, no. I know. Just, jeez. I don't know, man. It's, sorry you asked me, and I talked for 100 years about whatever I think could happen, but there's so many, like you asked me about realignment. There's so many possibilities. There's so many questions we don't know. There's so much that is concerning to me, and I'm concerned for the future of our school, the program, and the football team that we love. I'm concerned for our ability to compete at the highest level. Should we get there one day? Should we get that good one day?
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
It puts a ceiling on us if we're left out here. That's
Right.
a lot lower than it is now.
I don't want to have a ceiling on what level we're able to compete at.
Yeah.
I don't. I think at the very least we could get into the Big 12. The only reason I don't see the Big 12 not letting us in is because they're just too full. Other than that, like, they don't have any teams in Georgia,
Yeah.
But, when they're taking ACC teams, the SEC and Big 10 will get their pick of ACC teams, and the Big 12, so they won't have as big of a scoop to take, but they'll have their teams and assuming that everybody else is assuming they have to choose from like the Virginias, NC State, us, Wake Forest, Boston College, Syracuse. I have a feeling that we have a good chance of getting into the Big 12, but even that is just questionable. I just don't know.
Well, that's what's worrying me. The Big 12 is getting bloated now with their recent additions, so I'm not as confident on that as I once was. I think they would take us, and I don't know what the deals that these teams signed with the Big 12 are. How long are they locked into the Big 12? Would the Big 12 try and kick teams to take better teams than the Group of 5 teams they did take? I have no idea. And I think that's what you're talking about. There's so much uncertainty. I mean, I feel like and there are content creators that do this. I mean, this to really know what's going on, you'd have to dedicate a full-time job just to looking at conference realignment, what these deals are, what does the grant of rights really say. Seems like no one really knows. I mean, I know it's just two pages, but the legality around it is tough. But yeah, I'm not. It worries me too, man. It worries me too. I try not to think about it a lot of times just for my own sanity, but
I've been worried about it from the very moment that Texas and Oklahoma, because I knew it was going to open up. I knew it was going to open up just a can of worms of realignment, and I've been worried about it from that moment, and I still am. The ACC has not done anything. I made a video 2 years ago talking about what can the ACC do to improve ourselves. Because at the time, guess what? We could have gone into the Big 12 and got teams.
Yeah.
We could have got teams from the Big 12. You know, they were up in there too. They didn't have a TV deal worked out at the time. They didn't have teams they didn't have UCF, Cincinnati, any of them. We could have took UCF, Cincinnati and them. We could have took teams from the Big 12.
Yeah, and honestly, damn the Pac-12 for not doing what they needed to do, because that's affecting us now too. Like, think of a scenario where the Pac-12 did something to secure their conference. It would be better for the ACC.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
Yeah, it would. But they got picked apart. We didn't do anything. I mean, it's nobody's fault but the ACC's. So...
Well, with that being said, let's maybe pivot to a final topic before we end the show. It's getting kind of late.
Well, still a little doom and gloom there for you. But that's something that I'm passionate about and worried about too. So sorry if I'm doom and gloom, but
no, I mean,
I gotta
look at it.
I gotta make some videos talking about that because I've been slacking, and I made the YouTube channel because I have a lot to say. But I just haven't been saying it. I gotta get better about that.
Well,
my life's been so crazy. I've been moving and working, and everything's so busy.
Yeah,
so
we've been realigning too, along with the conference realignment.
Yeah, I apologize for the lull in content. I'm not on top of things like I should be, getting geared up for the season. But I'm gonna try to get better. So. You said you had a final topic?
Yeah, what are Vince Wilkes would like to know, what are your thoughts on the new Greta album?
Oh, dude.
He says it feels like a lot of the same, like an old friend he's visiting.
I mean, they just don't miss. The new Greta Van Fleet album is freaking incredible. Okay? And it's just incredible. All their songs. At first, when I would listen to them, I was like, it's all right, you know. They don't have a bad song. They don't have a single bad song in their entire discography. But they seriously, the more I listen to the album, it is really good. And I'll say one thing about it. They mixed it weird. They have like it feels like too many effects on it. And you can't hear the instruments as well in the recorded versions. Not all the songs on the album are like that. Some of the songs sound really good, like "Meeting the Master," "Fate of the Faithful," "Fallen Sky" sounds pretty good. But a lot of them, like "Sacred the Thread," "Farewell for Now," those songs sound a lot better live. So I recommend if you like the album I recommend listening to the Sacred the Thread live. You can hear the drum beat. It sounds like the opening to Led Zeppelin's When the Levee Breaks, like just a really heavy, like slow kind of drum beat, and it sounds really cool. But it sounds a little bit. Everything sounds too washed out on the album, and like the music, the instruments don't hit as hard as in the live version. You can just hear everything better, and it just sounds better live. So I recommend doing that. But the album's freaking incredible, and I've thought about doing. Yeah, sorry, get me going on Greta Van Fleet too. That's something.
I mean, they're
that's
good, but they're not like Blink-182 or anything.
That Greta Van Fleet is actually something I'm passionate about to make another YouTube channel for. I love Greta Van Fleet like I love my jackets. They're freaking incredible, and I have thought about doing an album, like a full album review, and just post it on my channel. But I've been thinking more about it. I'm like, man, I could make another channel and do, but I'm so busy lately. Like,
yeah, we need another channel. Like, we need a hole in the head, man.
Right. I'm so busy lately. I don't have time for another channel. But if I could make another channel, I would do Greta Van Fleet content. And as soon as I thought about that, of course, I'm a content creator. A million ideas for videos popped into my head. So I could do that. And I know what I call it too. I call it the Peaceful Army. And
then you could do like band realignment, like some of the band members are threatening to leave, and it could come full circle.
Yeah. Yep. So sorry to go off on a tangent again, but you get me started about Greta Van Fleet, and I'm just gonna start rambling on. I'm passionate about my freaking jackets and my favorite band there. So
nothing wrong with that. Well, I think we're almost at 10:30, so
yeah.
Final thoughts. Who's gonna start down Series 1 offensively at Louisville?
At Louisville? Oh,
against Louisville.
Yeah, I've been saying this all off season. Well, actually not. I thought once Haynes King came in, I thought he would, but from everything I've seen and heard from the media members and stuff, it seems like Pyron's got it. I think he had the job last year. He's Key's boy, and he's proven to us. I mean, now Haynes King has won the starting job twice at Texas A&M. And I thought that maybe he has a little bit higher ceiling than Pyron from what but still, that's not been achieved. And we already know, Pyron is really, really good and tough. And when you talk about toughness, that's what they say about the quarterback. Toughness. Well, that's personified in freaking Pyron. We know that. I mean, that dude is tough as a freaking box of nails. So that's who I would go with Pyron.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I mean, it's another one of those things, kind of like the game. I feel like it's a toss-up, but if I had to pick, I'd say Pyron. And kind of like you, as time has passed since we've brought King in, I don't necessarily know that King's ceiling is that much greater than Pyron's, if it is at all. So I guess I'm probably Team Pyron going into the first game. But with that being said, man, I think we'll end the show. I can't stop yawning. It's past Rex bedtime.
Yeah, I'm tired. I got work in the morning too, and I've just been rambling on and on. But I mean, there's just so much going on lately.
There is. Now we need to talk about it.
Yeah, I've been slacking on the content, so I feel like I got a lot off my chest. For those of you waiting on me to make some freaking videos for once in my life, hopefully that satisfies you. That's my thoughts on basically every single thing that's gone on in college football for the past few weeks or whatever. So there you have it. I feel like that was an amazing show.
That was an amazing show. And like Jay Bat coming in at the 12th hour, Sea-Dog 18 here comes in and says, damn, late show tonight. It was, man. We had a lot to get off our chest. And I think that was a really good show. I'm probably going to go back and watch this and clip some things out like you. But yeah, with that, we'll end the show, guys. I appreciate everyone for showing up. We had like 50-something people in here at one point. We had 2 super chats. We always appreciate that. Sea-Dog, what's the last thing you got to say?
I got to say, go Jackets and to hell with Georgia.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Definitely the hell with Georgia. Brent Key signed that on all our stuff. I agree within the next 3 years, we're going to get those nasty dogs.